Listen up, team. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to absolutely shatter a pervasive modern myth that is, quite frankly, quietly sabotaging your potential. You know the one. Society constantly tells you that you've got to make a choice, right? You're either someone who loves the journey or you're someone who relentlessly chases the trophy. I mean, we hear it all the time from productivity gurus. You either embrace the process or keep your eyes on the prize. Well, as your coach walking you through this material today, I am here to tell you that this forced choice, it's a complete setup. It's a false dichotomy designed to keep you spinning your wheels.
So, I want you to ask yourself and be really honest here. Are you completely fixated on the final result while totally ignoring your daily execution? Modern life is just absolutely saturated with this kind of binary thinking. Think about the massive cognitive dissonance we deal with every single day. Out in public, our culture celebrates the grit, the daily grind, the hustle of playing the game. Yet, in the real world, society almost exclusively hands out the rewards for the trophy. So we end up paralyzed, feeling like we have to pledge our total loyalty to just one side of the equation.
The thing is, modern life pushes this flawed playbook on us, creating what our source material perfectly describes as an artificial schism. And honestly, it's a playbook we just need to throw right in the trash today. Because true human excellence reveals that embracing both the journey and the destination isn't a contradiction at all. In fact, it's really the only viable way to achieve genuine mastery. We are going to completely rewrite the playbook on how we view our ultimate goals and our quiet daily habits.
All right, let's get into part one, the anxious athlete, when the trophy is everything.
Let's look at what happens when this balance is totally broken. Picture a marathon runner. These spend months training, right? Waking up at 4:30 a.m. to hit the pavement in the freezing rain. But this athlete is so intensely consumed by beating a specific finishing time, maybe qualifying for Boston, that every single training run becomes this grueling test laced with cortisol and dread. When you focus excessively on the outcome, whether that's a gold medal, a massive promotion, or a fancy degree, you basically end up mortgaging your present happiness for a future that, right now, only exists as a fragile idea in your head. You become a hostage to 1,000 factors you literally cannot control, like the weather on race day or a sudden injury. And this outcome-centric mindset breeds massive anxiety, creating a brittle, cautious performance that completely undermines the exact excellence you need to actually win. And because they tie their entire identity to that finish line, a runner becomes completely blind to the actual experience. They miss the quiet, rhythmic satisfaction of their feet hitting the pavement. They miss the early morning jokes in the locker room, the deep camaraderie of the team. They miss the simple, primal joy of physical exertion. And hey, this exact same trap applies to any discipline. Think of an ambitious writer who is so desperate for the bestseller list that they equate a single typo or one polite rejection letter to absolute fiery career destruction. The fear of failure just completely stifles the creative play required to write anything worth reading in the first place. Which brings us to part two, the trap of aimless drifting. Now, before you decide to swing entirely the other way and say, forget the outcome, coach, I'm just going to enjoy the ride, listen very closely. Rejecting the outcome completely is a dangerous form of aimless drifting. That popular mantra of loving the journey completely loses its power when the journey lacks a destination. Consider a stagnant painter. They might find this endless, zen-like joy in just mixing mud and slapping paint on a canvas. Heck, they might happily paint the exact same rock for a decade without ever considering the quality or impact of their work. Sounds peaceful, right? But without striving for a specific effect, they risk total stagnation. They never develop true skill. Or think about the unanchored student who studies continuously, jumping from major to major, but without any goal of actual mastery or real-world application. They fail to translate their mountains of accumulated knowledge into actual wisdom. And this highlights the number one reason we actually need goals. A goal isn't just some shiny object waiting for you at the end of the rainbow. There's exactly one primary function of the finished painting, the solved equation, or the championship game. It serves as a crucial feedback mechanism. The destination is your ultimate coach. It's the concrete scoreboard that tells you if your daily reps are actually working. Without it, you're just swinging a bat in the dark. A goal shines a glaring spotlight on exactly where you are making real progress and where you desperately need to adapt your technique. Moving right along to part three, the scientist's synergy. Now, this is where we really learn how to blend the daily grind with the ultimate prize. This idea of synergy is our core strategy moving forward. We have to profoundly understand that these two forces are meant to be harmonized. They feed off each other. The daily process is what gives the final outcome its deep foundational meaning. And the outcome, well, that's what gives your daily process its sharp, unyielding direction. Let's step into the lab for a second and look at a scientist to see how this works in practice. Imagine a researcher who has spent 3 whole years developing a new chemical compound. They run the final test, and the beaker simply fizzles out instead of turning that vibrant blue they expected. To an anxious, outcome-obsessed mind, this failed experiment is a catastrophic disaster. 3 years completely wasted. But to the synergistic mind, something entirely different has happened. It's simply successful data gathering. The scientist who integrates process and outcome knows they haven't failed at all. They have just brilliantly and successfully proven what does not work. Actually, scratch that, it's even better. That poor outcome isn't a crushing setback at all. It is a vital, specific kind of data that enriches their ongoing process and actively refines their approach for the very next iteration.
I want you to just pause for a second and let that idea sink in. Integrating your ultimate destination with your daily actions is the absolute hallmark of true intelligence. This is what human genius looks like in action. You absolutely need the destination to give shape, structure, and rigor to your journey. But you must possess the wisdom to remember that the daily journey, the gritty execution of your habits, is where your life is actually happening, minute by minute. The masters of any craft understand this beautiful, complex harmony. They find deep, intrinsic motivation in the mundane, sometimes even boring daily habits, all while keeping their eyes fiercely and unapologetically locked on the end goal. Think of a musician. They embrace the grueling, solitary hours of playing scales in a quiet room, just as much as they crave the deafening roar of a sold-out crowd. Think of our scientist, who cherishes the meticulous, highly repetitive daily experiments, just as much as that glorious, fleeting eureka moment. Or think of the parent, who finds profound, quiet meaning in the exhausting, repetitive daily bedtime routine, knowing with absolute certainty that these small moments are building directly toward a thriving, independent adult child.
All right, let's wrap this up with part 4, achieving long-term fulfillment.
Okay, team, let's bring it all together into a game plan you can take out onto the field today. Step 1, your outcome is your why. It's your compass pointing true north. It gives you a reason to wake up early in the morning. Step 2, your process is your how. It's the daily engine, the gritty mechanics that actually propel you forward. And step 3, you must learn to live and find your success in the sacred space between them. And what does living in that sacred space actually feel like? Well, it feels like entering a state of flow. It feels like hyper-focus. It means your anxiety drops because you deeply trust your daily reps, but your motivation stays sky high because you know exactly what scoreboard you're trying to light up.
So as we close out this explainer, I'm going to leave you with a final thought and a bit of a challenge. When you wake up tomorrow morning, what is your approach going to be? Are you going to be a prisoner to the trophy, totally paralyzed by anxiety? Are you going to be a wanderer, lost in the process, happily painting the exact same rock for 10 years? Or are you going to step into that sacred space between them, integrate your goals with your habits, and finally achieve true mastery? The playbook is right here. It's all yours. Now go out there and execute.